Hi friends, this is my channel History of English Literature and Culture Studies. Chapter 1 Chaucer to Spencer. Please like, share and subscribe my channel brought to you by Shubho. In the very first chapter I would like to discuss on the topic Chaucer to Shakespeare, the age, the span and the age, very age of Chaucer, the life of Geoffrey Chaucer that belongs to 1340 and 1400. Geoffrey Chaucer was born in the reign of Edward III, lived through that of the Richard II, and died the year Henry IV ascended the throne. 1348 and 49, the awful epidemic, the Black Death, John Wycliffe, the morning star of Reformation. 14th century was a period of the great political, social and religious activity. Periodically it was called the Hundred-Year Wars. Chaucer says, from the end of the 14th century, an Englishman could say, as he does say, any business is not the business of the state, but the business of the state is my business. Present revolt took place in 1381. Present revolt actually led by John Ball, who's saying, when Adam delved and Eve span, who was then the gentleman? Rapid growth was in trade and commerce. Child marriage was in vogue, and Richard II himself married the child daughter of King of France. In 1378, Europe saw two rival popes, each casting upon the other. England supported Urban VI, Pope of Rome, while France supported Clement VII of Abingdon. Wycliffe, the morning star of Reformation, launched the Lollard movement to eradicate the evil from the church. The main literary trends during the period were allegory, blood, descriptive narrative, poems, and metrical romances. Meters like rhyme royal, otiva rhyma, and heroic couplet came into fashion. Kittredge called the period a singularly modern time. Archerut, in his book The Poetry of Chaucer, has beautifully summed up the age in the following words. But if the words of the 14th century was the sadly out of joint to great creative literature, here, in the very middle of the page, you can see the life of Geoffrey Chaucer, 1340 to 1400. Here, mark it, his parentage, his age, and his wife, and many other things that you may not know. The this very chapter, the father of the Chaucer is called the father of poetry and grandfather of English novel. His father is John Chaucer. John Chaucer was a citizen and wine merchant. He passes his boyhood in London, Thames Street, near a river. He was a bibliophile, a studious reader. Okay, mark it very much well and read it. Next, the mark palm tree. Here, Chaucer got married to a maid, Philippa Wade, sister of third wife of John of Gaunt, the Duke of Lancaster. Then W.J. Long, the very well-known critic of Chaucer, says, from numerous whimsical references in the early poems, it has been thought that this marriage into noble family was not a happy one, but this is purely a matter of supposition or doubtful interference. In 1872, he was sent to Italy to settle a commercial treaty with Genoa and Florence. In Italy, he came into contact with Dante, Petrarch, and Boccaccio. King Henry IV increased Chaucer pension to 1399. He died on October 25, 1400. He was the first poet to occupy Poets' Corner in Westminster Abbey. Here, the death of Chaucer, and his life is divided into three periods. First of all, a French period that belongs to 1359 to 72. The influence of the French masters like Macham, Guillaume de Lorris, and Jean de Meung. Here, Jean de Meung. In the words of Lewis, a Frenchman may enter into the Chaucer country and be conscious of no change of climate or the romance of the rose. it is a very much work of Chaucer in the French period, the Romaunt of the Rose, a lengthy allegorical poem written in octosyllabic couplet and directly based upon Le Roman de la Rose of Guillaume de Loris and Jean de Meung, contains about 7,700 lines. The death of Blanche the Duchess, better known as the Book of the Duchess, written about the death of Blanche, the wife of Chaucer's patron, John of Gaunt. Okay, here see, next we come about Italian period. Here, Italian period, you see very well that the Italian period spans from 1373 to 86. In the 1372, Chaucer came into contact with Dante, Petrarch, and Boccaccio. These are the Italian masters of influence. Those are influenced Chaucer to write in Italian. Chief work in this period is Troilus and Cressida, a poem about 8,200 lines adopted from Boccaccio's second Flustroso, the love-smitten one. Here, the red highlighted one is the very well-known book of Chaucer, The House of Flame, a poem in octosyllabic couplets allegory of dreamy type. The third work of this period is Legend of the Good Woman. Originally planned to narrate 19 tales of antique remarkable for their chastity, sincerity, and devotion to love. He could only compose only 8 legends, and poems are written in heroic couplet. Compose 8 legends and starts 9 legends. Annelida and Arcite. The Parliament of Fowls. It is the very much work of this period and is a very successful work of Chaucer, the Parliament of Fowls. Then we comes about the English period extending from 1386 to the end of his life, 1400. In this period, his masterpiece contains the Canterbury Tales, as we all know. The general idea of the Canterbury Tales is taken from Boccaccio. 29 pilgrims included Chaucer went to Tabardine in Southwark, tomb of Thomas Becket. Only 2 tales, Tales of Meliboeus and Parson's Tales, are written in prose. All other tales are written in heroic couplet. Next, turn over the page. Here we see, of all the writers of the genius, Chaucer is one with whom it is easiest to have a sense of comradeship. Here is God's plenty. Dryden says this word. Mark it very well that here is God's plenty. He has his own choice, his own grasp of character, and his own diction of plot. He is at home. Home means he is at England. In the prologue, Chaucer has presented 4 ladies, prioress, nun, nun priestess, and the bath. Here we all talked about Canterbury Tales. It is very important for the MCQ questions. The prologue has introduced 30 pilgrims. The young squire has been described. Very well known question. The young squire has been described as how young. The question may be asked that how young squire has been described as. The answer is he was as fresh as the month of May. Lowell, Chaucer is one of the world's 3 or 4 storytellers. Mansfield called him a great Renaissance gentleman of the Middle Age. Mansfield. You know all about Mansfield. He is a great critic of Chaucer. Then Lowell has remarked that Chaucer found the native tongue a dialect and left it a language. Arnold refuses to accept Chaucer as one of the classics because in his view Chaucer lacked that gravity. That is the very much hurting point of Arnold given his statement that Chaucer lacked the gravity of the classical poets, but I not agree with this point. The 7-line stanza A B A B B C C has become known as the Chaucerian rhyme royal. Here we see the end of the lifespan of Chaucer and his works and his masterpiece. Then the major poet of this period was John Langland or Langley. His lifespan belongs 1332 to 1400. You see, Langland, the pink mark highlighted were the vision of William concerning Piers the Plowman appears in manuscript in three forms: A, B, and C text. A text 205,000 line, B text more than 7,200 lines, and C text, which is clearly based on the text B, is more than 7,000 and 3,300 lines. A text is a genuine composition and Langland, whereas B and C text are inferior poets. Characters are maybe concerned here: do well, do bad, do betest, lady meet, wit, study, and faith. The author was born in Chaucer about 1332. Here one vision he took place, that is the vision in which he saw the Piers the Plowman, probably took place in 1362. The vision, which is based on the story of the vision of William concerning Piers the Plowman, or the shortly Piers the Plowman. The poet himself tells poet's vision on Malvern Hills. Next, we see the John Gower. Date of birth is uncertain. Died about 1408, member of the Cantis family. Speculum Meditatis, Vox Clamantis, and Confessio Amantis. Three major works of John Gower. Speculum Meditatis is actually written in French, and for a long period it was lost, being discovered lately in 1895. Vox Clamantis composed in Latin, while Confessio Amantis written in English and written King's Comment with a description of 7 deadly sins, which later we found in William Ibsen's. Next poet of the period was John Barber. Barber wrote a very lengthy poem of 12 books and 13,000 lines. The work records Scotland's struggle for freedom from 1286 to 1332. The date of the poet, that is Bruce, 1375. The central incident of the poem Bruce is the Battle of Bannockburn. Then we talk about Sir John Mandeville. Mandeville, the real name of Mandeville, most of all, is not known to us. That is Jehan de Mandeville. Mark it. Jehan de Mandeville published a French book of travels between 1357 to 71. The real author of this book said to be Jehan Bourgon. So this is major information of the author Sir John Mandeville. Full name of Mandeville is Jehan de Mandeville, and the real name of the author is Jehan de Bourgon. That is the real author, not the Mandeville. Then Wycliffe, as we know, is called the Morning Star of Reformation, born in Yorkshire, educated in Oxford, an active controversialist, and wrote many Latin books, translation of English of Bible. Sir Thomas Malory. Malory's major work, Morte the Arthur. Caxton says that Caxton, the printer who founded the printing press in London in 1576. The Caxton says that the book was written out of certain books of French. Then, after the star symbolizes below it the year 1399, disposition of Richard and the foundation of the Lancasterian dynasty. A curious modern note began to be apparent in this period. The Romaunt of the Rose fragment through 8,000 lines, once entirely ascribed to Chaucer, but recent research based upon the scrutiny of the Chaucerian style, one suggested that leave it. It is not very important part of it, but just take a note, glance on it. Norman conquest is Wenier of Weston's anonymous poet of no great merit. Here, the ends of the first chapter from Chaucer and his predecessors, and Lagland, John Mandeville, and at the end, Mote the Arthur. The next we shall talk about from Chaucer to Spenser. That chapter actually starts with Thomas Okelf or Okelf. Okay, thank you very much.